I didn't scream when I saw the charge. That's what still scares me the most. I was standing in line at a coffee shop in Santa Monica, half awake, scrolling through my banking app like I always did every morning, out of habit, not paranoia. The ocean breeze was cool, my latte order was almost ready, and my life, for once, felt balanced. Then I saw it. $12,700. Merchant, Azure Skis Luxury Travel. I blinked once, twice. At first, I honestly thought it was fraud. Some overseas scam, maybe. I tapped into the transaction details, my fingers suddenly cold. First-class flights. 5-star resort. Private yacht tour. Spa packages. Romantic upgrade. Romantic. My heart dropped into my stomach. I already knew. I didn't need to call the bank. I didn't need to ask questions. I knew exactly who had done this and why, because this wasn't the first time my family treated my finances like a community resource. But this time was different. Because this wasn't a few $100s. This wasn't, "We'll pay you back next month." This was 5 figures, charged without permission, without warning, without shame. And the trip, it wasn't even for them. It was for my younger sister, Brianna. I paid for my coffee, walked out into the sunlight, and sat on a bench overlooking the street. Cars passed, people laughed, life went on. Mine stopped. Growing up as the responsible one. I was the oldest daughter, which, in my family, meant I was born 40 years old. While Brianna got praise for existing, I got expectations. While she got follow your dreams, I got be realistic. While she got rescued from every bad decision, I got scolded for making any at all. By 23, I was financially independent. By 27, I owned my first property. By 32, I had 2 when I lived in, and 1 I bought back home, temporarily, so my parents could retire comfortably. That temporary house. They lived there 6 years. Rent-free, bill-free, responsibility-free. I told myself it was fine. They were my parents. They sacrificed for me. This is what good daughters do. What I didn't realize was that generosity, once expected, becomes entitlement. The call I didn't want to make. I sat there for 10 minutes before calling my mother. She answered on the second ring, cheerful as always. "Oh, sweetheart, is everything okay?" I laughed. Not because anything was funny, but because the audacity was almost impressive. "Why?" I asked calmly. "Is there a $12,700 charge on my credit card?" Silence. Not confusion, not surprise. Silence. Then a sigh. "Oh, you saw that." "Saw it?" "Yes," I said, "I saw it." "Well," she continued, tone shifting into the familiar guilt-soaked register, "we were going to tell you. We just didn't want to stress you out." I closed my eyes. "Tell me what exactly?" "That Brianna needed a break," my mom said gently. "She's been so overwhelmed lately." Overwhelmed? Brianna, who worked part-time by choice. Brianna, whose rent they paid. Brianna, who'd just gotten back from Miami 3 months earlier. "And the solution," I said, voice still dangerously calm, "was charging my card without asking." "Well," my dad cut in, he must have been on speaker, "you have a high limit, and you weren't using it." I felt something snap. "You stole from me." No, my mother said quickly. "Don't say it like that, it's family." Family. That word, their favorite shield. "Where is she?" I asked. "She's actually at the airport right now," my mom said brightly. She was so excited. First class, can you believe it? Yes. I could believe it. Because they'd never do this to her. Only to me. The group chat explosion. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I hung up. Then my phone started buzzing. Brianna. OMG, thank you. Loudly, I needed this so bad. I stared at the message, thumbs hovering. Me. I didn't authorize anything. 3 dots appeared. disappeared, reappeared. Brianna. Mom said it was fine. You're always saying you want us to be happy. I smiled. That's when I knew, absolutely knew, that if I didn't draw a line now, they would drain me dry and still call me selfish. The house they forgot wasn't theirs. That night, I pulled up the documents for the house back home. The one my parents lived in. The one I owned outright. No mortgage, no lien, no shared title. Just my name. They'd never paid rent, never offered, never thanked me past the first year. And now, they'd helped themselves to my credit like it was their emergency fund. I called my real estate agent. "Are you interested in selling?" she asked. I looked at the ocean outside my window. "Yes," I said, immediately. The calm before the storm. The house sold fast. Too fast. Cash buyer, 2-week close. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell Brianna. I didn't post about it. I just signed. And waited. Because the thing about people who take advantage of your kindness, they never see consequences coming. The first sign something was wrong came 3 days later. I was finishing a Pilates class when my phone started vibrating nonstop inside my bag. Not one call, not 2. 7 missed calls. All from my mother. Then my dad. Then Brianna. I didn't rush, I showered. I got dressed, I grabbed a smoothie. By the time I finally checked my voicemail, I already knew the sale had gone through. The call that changed everything. I answered my mom on the 9th call. Her voice was shrill, panicked, unrecognizable. "What did you do?" I pulled the phone away from my ear for a second. "Good morning to you too," I said calmly. "Don't play games," she snapped. "We just got a letter saying the house was sold. There are strangers outside asking about keys." I leaned back against my kitchen counter. "Yes," I said, "that would be the new owners." Silence. Then my dad exploded. "You had no right." I laughed out loud. "No right," I repeated. "You charged $12,700 on my credit card without asking. That was your idea of rights." "That was different," my mom cried. "That was for your sister." "Exactly." "That house," I said evenly, "was for my parents. Parents who apparently forgot basic respect." "You can't do this to us," my mom sobbed. "Where are we supposed to go?" I shrugged, even though she couldn't see it. "Maybe ask Brianna," I said. "She's staying at a 5-star resort, right?" Brianna comes crashing down. An hour later, Brianna called. She wasn't excited anymore. She wasn't bubbly. She was furious. "Are you serious right now?" she yelled. "You're kicking Mom and Dad out because of a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding?" I asked. "You went on a luxury vacation you didn't pay for." "They used your card," she said defensively. "Not me." I smiled. "Funny," I replied. "You didn't seem to mind benefiting from it." She scoffed. "You have money. You'll be fine." There it was. The sentence I'd heard my entire life. "You know what I have," I said quietly. "Boundaries, finally." She went silent. Then came the threat. "If you don't fix this," she hissed, "don't expect to be part of this family anymore." I didn't even hesitate. "Then you should have thought of that," I said, "before stealing from me." And I hung up. The fallout back home. The buyers gave my parents exactly 30 days to vacate. No extensions, no sympathy. Why would they? They weren't the ones who raised entitled adults. My parents scrambled, calling relatives, old friends, church members. Nobody wanted them long-term. Because suddenly, without my house, without my money, without my safety net, they weren't as generous or pleasant as they'd pretended to be. Brianna cut her trip short. Turns out luxury feels different when the bill comes due. She tried one last time. The final conversation. She showed up at my place unannounced. Sunglasses, designer bag, red eyes. "You embarrassed us," she said flatly. No, I corrected. I stopped enabling you. She crossed her arms. You could have just asked us to pay you back. I laughed, soft, tired. With what? I asked. Your part-time paycheck, or mom and dad's $0 retirement plan. Her jaw tightened. You think you're better than us now? I shook my head. No, I said. I think I'm done being used. She left without another word. Peace looks like this. I paid off the credit card. Not because I owed them anything, but because I refused to carry their mess any longer. Then I did something I'd never done before. I blocked them. All of them. A month later, I used the profit from the house sale to invest in another property, this one purely for me. No family access. No spare keys. No guilt. Sometimes I hear through distant relatives that my parents still call me ungrateful. That Brianna says I changed. They're right. I did. Because the girl who let her family steal from her no longer exists. And the woman who sold the house they lived in. She sleeps perfectly fine at night. The end.